Find a comfortable position, and let's take a few deep breaths in, out, in, out, in, out. We're going to cultivate metta, loving kindness. Think of those you wish to send to. Understand the offering you're making. May I be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May no problems come to me. May I always find fulfillment. May I also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May my parents, brothers, sisters, friends, and relatives, teachers, may they be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they also find fulfillment. May they also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May those I meet in my everyday life, may they be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always find fulfillment. May they also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May those who wish me ill will to those I have difficulty with, may they be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always find fulfillment. May they also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May all beings arisen in these realms, either with form or without, with consciousness or without, may they be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always find fulfillment. May they also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and the sick find health relief. Now continue to practice loving kindness until you hear the bell.
speaker on Kusala. Kusala, you can start your talk right now.
Okay, feels more like fall than spring to me. I don't know what happened to the weather. A big event is coming up this month. It's going to be the 15th of May. It'll be at UCLA from 9:30 to 4:30, and it'll be about Buddhism in Los Angeles. How cool is that? Because we get it all here. Everybody's here. The weather's too nice except for today. They all want to be here and share the Dharma with us. Now, in 2019, I received a phone call, actually an email, saying we'd like to interview you for the UCLA Oral History Library. Because we're interviewing people about what they did and do and think about Buddhism in Los Angeles. So altogether, 19 people were interviewed. My interview is 8 hours long. I've only met one person who has listened to the whole thing. I haven't even listened to the whole thing. But some of the people that were interviewed, Piyananda from Dharma Vijaya Buddhist Vihara, Gyoku from Zen Center of Los Angeles, another one. So we have some heavy hitters, not myself, but the others. And so at, I think it's 1 o'clock, 1 to 2:30, we're going to have a panel discussion with some of the interviewees about what they said in their talk. And I'm hoping they paid for parking. But we'll find out. So that should be exciting. I've got it posted, I've got the schedule posted on my Facebook page, but I realize not all of you are on Facebook, so I'm going to post it on Urban Dharma too. So they're going to have art exhibits, they're going to have lectures, they're going to have a whole lot of stuff going on about Buddhism in Los Angeles. So I'm excited about that because we're one of the places. New York, LA, not so much Oklahoma, but we are one of the places where Buddhism has taken root and grown well. So today I was considering a variety of topics to talk about, and I came up with ego is a JPEG. Pretty good, huh? Now, not all of us know what JPEGs are, but let me explain why I got there. Back in the old days, everybody had cameras. I still have cameras. I like cameras. I don't take pictures with my cell phone. I talk on my cell phone. I don't text on my cell phone. I talk on my cell phone. So if I want to do texting, I use email. And if I want to do pictures, I use a camera. Now, if you use a camera, you can get JPEGs or RAW files. So let me explain what a JPEG is. A JPEG is a smaller file, and it has been decided by the internal computer of your camera. So it decides how much light, how much color, how much definition, all that kind of stuff. And all you got to do is set the camera to A, auto, push it down, and it takes a picture. And it usually comes out pretty darn good, just like the cell phones, because you're not adjusting a lot of stuff on your cell phones either. But the advantage of having a camera is you can also get a RAW file. So when I take a picture, I always create two files. One is a JPEG and one is a RAW file. Now what's the difference? RAW file is about, I don't know, maybe 50 to 70% bigger file. Why is that the case? Because it has all the information from the picture. It doesn't edit, it doesn't break down, it doesn't make small information, so it's huge. Then, when you download it into your computer, you use Photoshop, whether it be the Photoshop elements that I have, which stands alone and is really cheap compared to Photoshop, or the regular Photoshop. And then you take the raw file and you push it through Photoshop, and you get to decide how the picture looks. More color, less color. More depth of field, less depth of field. You get to figure out how you want that picture to look. And I like that idea because I don't think taking a picture just to catch reality is good enough. I think pictures should be art. I think that should say something about the picture taker as well, not only what's being taken picture of. So here you are, and you have your JPEG and your raw file, and the JPEG turns out pretty good, and the raw file turns out really good because you're in charge. And now we apply this to having an ego, and the ego is our JPEG. That we've gone to school, we have gone to work, people have formed us into a certain way. So when we look at things because of what we've learned and how to look at them. Now Monet, the famous artist, said, if you really want to see, you have to lose the words, which is going into the raw file, because the words construct what you're seeing. Is it a big car? Is it a small car? What kind of car is it? How many wheels does it have? How big is the engine? Does it have a catalytic converter? All those ideas and words go in to make the car for us when we're looking at it. So somebody says, well, what kind of car is it? And you go, well, it's a Tesla. It's one of those terrible Teslas. You go, okay. Or it's a Chevy. You go, oh, Chevy. My first car was a Chevy. I like Chevys. So all those thoughts and ideas come back in to how you look at the car. You never really see the car. Silence. Just seeing. And Zen likes to get into that. Zen, says you just gotta wait. And you'll see exactly what it is. The unchanged reality. And you go, wow, how cool is that? I wonder what it looks like. Always disappointing, because our opinions and our preferences really add a lot to what we're experiencing and how we're experiencing it. So here you are, and you've got your little camera, and the camera turns out to be you, and you're going to take a JPEG picture, but you don't like the way it keeps turning out. And a lot of people don't like that when they have a life, and the life never turns out to be totally perfect or totally imperfect. It's okay, it could be better. It's good enough. But we can adjust the way we look at the world in the same way we can adjust the camera to take a picture, with all those little dials and levers and slides, and finally you get the best picture. And how do we adjust us? Well, one of the things we need to think about is what pushes us in a certain direction to see things the way we think they are. Not the way they are, but that we see things the way we think they are. And you'd have to say, well, maybe the three poisons have a lot to do with how we experience the world. And the three poisons are greed, hatred, and delusion. Now, these are general terms, and these terms apply to how we feel about certain things. And so we could say greed and lust is a driving factor in most lives. People who are into money never have enough money. And now they've created something that doesn't even exist. all these energy places so they can fire up the computers and keep all this money that doesn't exist of all the people that want to get rich. Wow. And then completely opposite now, and I don't know if you've seen the commercials, but I have, everybody seems to be investing in gold. And they have these wonderful commercials of this old guy sitting with his wife at the table. And there's a little pile of gold coins. And he picks them up and touches them and moves them around. He said, I never realized how fulfilling it is to have gold. Gold that you can touch. And I'm thinking, well, monkeys feel the same way with colorful and bright objects as well. They love to touch them and hold them. Now, whether you can convert the gold into money easier than converting cryptocurrency into money, that's another story. But here we are faced with greed and lust. And we all know about lust. We have 8 billion people. And there are some people in the government that say we should have more children. We don't have enough children in America. And I'm thinking to myself, in my day, when I was a younger, they used to give free transistor radios out at the train stations in India if you would get a vasectomy. So you wouldn't have any more kids. Because we had a population crisis in the 60s. And now we got a couple billion more people than we had in the 60s. And some people want to even have more kids. And what's the driving factor? Not necessarily love, not necessarily kindness. It's lust, animal lust. Every animal has lust. What separates us from animals is we don't have a mating season. We're good 24/7. So, can we deal with greed? Can we deal with lust? Yes, we can. It's called renunciation. It's called appreciating what you already have. Is what you already have enough? That word is so important. Do you have enough? And if you do, you don't need more. There you go. So now we go to hatred and anger. Well, what we did before the talk was we had a loving kindness meditation. We needed to change the way we feel about certain things. And if you think about it in depth, you realize that anger and hatred hurt you the most. That you can hate somebody so much and wish they were dead, and they haven't got a clue about how you feel. So can we think about being a more wholesome and skillful person? And yes, we can. And one of the ways to do that is to follow the 5 precepts. Not to kill, not to steal, no sexual misconduct, not to lie, not to consume intoxicants. Can we do that? Can that be a daily practice? That can ultimately reduce our lust and our hatred and anger. Well, that's part of the Buddhist path. And yes, it is possible, and there are millions of people in the world practicing right now. So if you ever get a Buddhist that wants to move in and live next to you, welcome them, because they probably have that practice. Okay, the third one is the toughest one. Delusion and ignorance. Because the precepts won't help you with that. And reading a bunch of books won't help you with that. Because our whole life is a delusion. We don't see things the way they are. As I explained earlier, the words get in the way and create pictures and stories that really don't exist at all. So what do we need to do to get rid of our illusion? The one way and the best way to get rid of illusion is meditation. Meditation allows you to see how your consciousness works. It allows you to see the arising, existing, and falling away of concepts and thoughts. And there's a little space in between each thought that has neither thought or concept. It's empty. And then the next thought arises and exists for a while. And sometimes they're related, and sometimes they're not related, and sometimes they have to do with what's going on, but most of the time they don't. They're sort of caught into future and past, and you regretting the past and anticipating the future, can hardly wait to get out of the present moment. But that darn present moment follows us everywhere we go. You can't shake it off. You have to imagine it doesn't exist, and that's part of the delusion and ignorance you're dealing with. So how do you come to the present moment experience of your life through meditation? That would be through one of the meditation techniques known as following the breath, the sensation of breath. So when you're dealing with the sensation of breath, you realize that that sensation can only happen right now. That sensation of breath can't happen in the future, because that'll be a different breath, and can't happen in the past, because that was a different breath. So the breath of the present moment that creates that sensation, it's always happening right now. Okay, so now we're adjusting our camera and changing the way the JPEG is created. And now we have a more realistic way of looking at the world and looking at our life. We have a little bit more generosity and a little less greed. We have a little less hatred and anger and a little more love and kindness. We have a little less delusion and ignorance, but now we have, rather than that, insight and wisdom, which comes forth from our meditation practice. And when we apply it that way, our life becomes remarkable. Now, let me explain the problem with the raw file. Back in the old days, when I was just a young whippersnapper, we had people called, two people, Ram Dass and Tim Leary. And they were advocating raw files. They said, we can give you a drug that will blast your ego away for a short period of time. And your whole experience will be everything at once. Well, you know, it sounds like it would really be a lot of fun, but we're not capable of experiencing everything at once. It's just too much. And the problem with that is it happens too quickly. So you're not able to integrate any of the insights you might have had through that raw file experience because there was too much and too fast. And that's where meditation comes in. Meditation is a calculated, slow, comfortable way of increasing your wisdom and insight without blasting you into another world. It just allows you to take little steps along the way. And you have a little insight there, and sometimes you can integrate it and sometimes you can't, and you have a little extra wisdom over here. And people want to hear what your wisdom is, and they say, well, that's not wisdom. But they don't know. And then you go over here, and then you just go, okay. And slowly, gradually, almost imperceptible, is the radical transformation your consciousness is making. And now, you look the same, you pretty much feel the same, but you interpret everything so much differently because you have wisdom and compassion, the two wings of the Buddhist bird. And that will change the lives of all the people that are in your life as well. You can't tell them what to do, but you can be an example of what you did. And when they come up and ask you, well, how did you do that? You can only say, this is how I did it. Because everybody is an individual and unique, and we all have different karma. So what I've done can't apply to you. And what you've done can't apply to me. There are some general crossovers, but specifically, no. So I have a friend who was having sort of a little crisis, and she said, I can't figure out what the meaning of life is. Well, my first response is, you don't need to, because it doesn't mean anything. But that wouldn't be good enough in this case, because she was really concerned about having a meaning of life. And then she said, well, what does life mean to you? And I said, what life means to me wouldn't help you at all, because we're all different. And my meaning of life applies to me and what I do and think. And your meaning of life has to apply to you and what you do and you think. But when you have something to do, the meaning isn't as important as when you have nothing to do. So if you have a lot of nothing to do, you can sit around and think about all this stuff, but it doesn't change anything except your attitude towards your life. So I would recommend, get up and do something. Meditate, be of service, help some people, make some phone calls, do something. And the meaning will appear to you. You'll say, that's what it means. Because of what you're doing, not because of what you're thinking. Okay. So we have a way of approaching life in a very skillful way. And I like the idea of JPEG and RAW file, because for me, that analogy worked well. And I hope it worked well for you. And after listening to this talk, I would encourage you to go out and buy a camera. Thank you for listening. Any questions or comments on what's been said? Hi.
Later on in Ramdas's life, he changed his perspective on the raw, like, I guess, the whole acid and everything. And he said that he mentioned that it was too much, that, the breath and mindfulness, meditation was the route that
Yes.
he found once he.
It took him a while to get there.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of really cool experiences along the way. And I remember once he talked about LSD as being a launching pad.
Yeah.
That it would just launch him to these altered states of consciousness. But they weren't useful. He couldn't put them into everyday life or experience, except in the books that he wrote. So it was good for a book, but for just going to the grocery store and getting some milk, doesn't help you a bit. And Aldous Huxley. Anybody know who Aldous Huxley is? Okay, he was a cool guy. Do you know how he died? Probably not. Well, he died, and what he did was he had his wife read to him from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And then he had his doctor inject him with LSD. And then he went off into the next lifetime. And I'm thinking, damn. I'd rather have something a little more quiet and peaceful. But yeah, so there's all sorts of stories about, drugs being useful and stuff, but they're not. And the problem is with a drug is you have to use the drug to get there again. And the great part about meditation is you never experience the same thing twice. You can never go back and do it again. You always get something new to experience. You're always in a constant state of becoming. Okay, and you don't need anything, not even a candle or a mantra. You just need to sit down and be quiet for a while, and stuff happens. That's cool. Yeah?
In your opinion, why is it easier to take hold of delusions than to try to look at things realistically.
Ah, okay. Yeah, and of course real is questionable. But the thing is in the evolution of humankind, at some point during our evolution, we were given an ego. Now the cats I take care of have a little ego, but they have a little cat ego. And then there's the birds I feed, and they have a little bird ego. But the human ego is an amazing thing because it lets you think that you are that. Now somebody once said, ego is a terrible master, but a good servant. So what we need to do is sort of disengage from the ego concepts of who we are and what we need to do, and not totally destroy them, because it's like a to-do list and it gives us some kind of reference point and some future event that we can work towards. But the idea is not to take everything you think too seriously, because it's just a bunch of thoughts. And some of them are good and some of them aren't so good. And it's just thinking, and then you go on to the next thing and thinking. So the ego, its main job is to give us an identity and to keep us alive. That's what it's, we entrust that to the ego. And the ego does a really good job, except it's not so good with other people. That if it's me and him, then it's always me. The ego is always self-centered, self, capital S, and it's always concerned about me first and everyone else second. And the thing about meditation and the Zen tradition and the Theravada tradition and the Vajrayana tradition is there's a slow process making the other more important than the you. And it takes a really long time. And there are people in the world who act that out. And they are remarkable, that you can actually become the second most important person in your life because the person in front of you is the most important person. And I think that's the idea that ego is important, it's good, it's a terrible master, it's a wonderful tool, and we need it. Now, you've heard of the yogis of India. Some of them are well known as being enlightened, and they have like 12 people around them, feeding them and clothing them and helping them walk and stuff, because they can't do any of that anymore, because they become enlightened. We don't want that kind of enlightenment. We want the kind of enlightenment that allows us to go in the world and make a difference. That's the kind of enlightenment we like. One of my favorite stories is the yogi in Tibet. And he's in this cave. And he's been there for years and years and years. And finally he has this idea, this sensation that he's achieved the final goal, that he's enlightened. And now he's going to walk down the mountain and into the village and look around. And he walks down the mountain and into the village and looks around, and somebody bumps into him and he gets angry. Wow. Not enlightened yet. Ah, yes. Yeah, anybody else? Okay. Well, thanks for listening. I appreciate your time. And thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Kusala, and we'll chant page 4 and page 10. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, dhammam saranam gacchami, sangham saranam gacchami. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dhamma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the face-struck fearless be, and the sleeping shadow grieve, and the sick find health relief. Thank you again for everybody, and we have tea and cookies. A few announcements. Coming Sunday, I believe is 11th, we are going to celebrate Mother's Day. Please come and join with us, and we bring the flowers, red and white both flowers you can offer behalf of your mother, whether your mother living or your mother passed away. We can talk about what the Buddha say about the parents, especially for the mother in that day. So, however, Subodha is going to give a Dhamma talk that Sunday also, and we do have meditation also 10 o'clock that Sunday also. Please come and join. And after that, next Sunday, which is the 18th, I believe, 18th, we're going to celebrate the Buddha's birthday, Vesak. That's very important. Please come and join with us. We invite for the monks, maybe some nuns coming also, I'm not sure. We are invite maybe around 10, 12 monks and nuns, different tradition. We have dana for the monks, and lunch for everybody, all kind of food, Thai, Vietnamese and Sri Lankan food, veggie and non-veggie both. Please come and join. That's the Vesak is very important for all the Buddhist people. So make sure to come and join that day. That's the announcement right now. And thanks again being with us today. And by the power of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, you all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.